Freed from Taliban rule, tribesmen of Bajour rejoice. They're siding with the army now and say if the militants try to come back, they'll fight them themselves. Many have good reason to.
His vehicle was blasted. His brother was kidnapped. His brother was killed. His father was killed with 9 of his accomplices at one time.
Everybody here has lost someone.
Everybody here has lost somebody.
Now troops stand guard where the Taliban had their nerve centre, a network of caves and tunnels in an area called Damadola. Well, this is one of the tunnels that the army has found here. If you follow me in, we'll just duck our heads. This area inside is tall enough to stand up in. It was used as a living area and as a sleeping area. Some of the bedding was left behind. Now, troops say this is one of about 150 caves in this area alone. They form a defensive complex, and the troops believe it could have taken 5 or 6 years to build all this. Well, we're making our way now through this labyrinth of tunnels. There's more discarded bedding here. Looks like a sleeping bag that somebody left behind. This particular tunnel, which is very narrow and steep, had a very important function for the militants. It leads to a foxhole. They could come here if they were under attack and get a clear view of the outside. Somebody would be positioned here with a weapon and they'd be able to fire on anyone who was approaching. These tunnels might have hosted the Al-Qaeda number 2, Ayman al-Zawahiri. Both Pakistan and America believe he was in the area in the past.
We lost a lot of men, 9 men on that peak.
The general in charge here is declaring victory, though he admits that up to 40% of the Taliban leadership managed to flee.
Some of them did, and they have run away. But the thing is, they've lost their support, and they've lost the terrain where they could operate, and they've lost the population who they were coercing. So they're not really effective anymore.
So you think they can't come back?
They might try and come back, but we'll keep on looking for them.
What happens in this hostile territory has implications for security across the border in Afghanistan. Having done its bit in Bajour, the army wants to see a lot more action on the other side.
More presence of troops, more control of the area, more presence of the state of Afghanistan in those areas, which is at this point in time there is virtually none existing there.
Army commanders are getting a hero's welcome here, but that could be short-lived. Locals are warning that without jobs and investment, the Taliban could find new recruits. But the Pakistani flag now flies over Damadola for the first time in the history of the state, and the army is setting its sights on neighbouring areas and the next stage of the fight. Orla Guerin, BBC News, Damadola, Pakistan.